this will. Just look in His Word. He has promised never to forsake you, nor to leave you. Safe within His arms, He'll never let you go. He will not lead you. He will not lead you.
Good morning and welcome to Wednesday as we continue our journey through this season of Lent, and as we open ourselves day by day to what God is doing in our world and in our lives. There's so much that is going on in our midst. Every day there seems to be something new, something that we would never imagine might occur, some new upheaval, some distortion, some making of something right that has been wrong for eons. There's so much going on in our world, and in all honesty, it is really a challenging time to be in this world, and so much is happening, and so many of us are being affected adversely. Even coming out of the pandemic, it seems that there's been such a change in personalities, in the way persons are viewing the world, in the way individuals are looking at life. It seems that persons somehow seem to have come to a place where they are no longer willing to accept what they have imbibed for eons. They are looking for something new. They are challenging old systems and old ways of being. I don't know if this has been your experience. If it has been, you can share in the comments to say what your experience has been. But for me, it seems as though there's a tremendous upheaval going on all around us in every facet of life. And the question, what is it that we do? And in all honesty, in all fairness, it speaks of the essence and of the purpose behind Lent. Because what is Lent? Lent for us is that journey in the wilderness. Lent for us is that shedding of things that we are convinced are part of who we are, but in reality they're not. They're just things that we have acquired, things that we have put on, or worse, things that others have told us that we should put on. That's what Lent is. Lent is that journey to the self. Lent is that letting go of systems and concepts and ideologies and even methodologies to find me. And it's in a time when, we are the products of an age that says to look for me is to be selfish or self-centered. You always have to think of the whole. And this is very true. But you could only think of the whole if you understand the individual part. If I don't know what the individual part is or what it is for, I cannot comprehend the whole. And so we've tried to comprehend the whole And all that we have ended up doing is to create sameness and not the whole. So this morning, as we come to our devotions, we come in the midst of all the upheaval that is taking place. You know, perhaps it's like the time when the Berlin Wall was taken down. Something that persons probably felt they would have never seen in their own lifetime. And we're back even further. The emancipation of slavery. All that time that slaves had been in bondage, and then there comes a moment when they're no longer in bondage. And yes, we know that that bondage has continued in many ways, but the actual idea of it as an institution to have come to an end. But in our time, it seems as though there's a lot more going on. A lot more coming to a head all at once. Not just one thing, but several things. And this is where we find ourselves at this point in time. Trying to find a place of stillness in the midst of all this upheaval. Trying to find a center. A center that would prevent us from living in fear. A fear that comes about because of the unknowing, the uncertainty, the fluidity. We are so accustomed to solid ground that these shaky times are destabilizing for so many of us. And many of us aren't able to cope because our world as we know it seems to have come to an end. It's coming to a head. And that awareness is causing us to become extremely anxious, extremely unsettled, extremely fearful. All our security is gone. What can we hang our hat on now? What can we be assured of now? For me, the answer is simple. The only thing that I can be assured of now, in this moment, is the only thing that was always there that I can be assured of. The I Am presence that is deep within me. The self that I am. The self that I am yet to discover. There's a constancy about that self. Not the elusive one that I put on from one time to another, from one circumstance to another, but a changeless self. That self that needs nothing. That changeless self that Jesus discovered. It didn't need bread. It didn't need power. It didn't need to test God. It didn't need anything. It in and of itself was enough. Because it in and of itself is a divine manifestation in the world. And that is eternal. And that never changes, never goes away. That is you. That is me. Of this we can be sure. So there's this man called Nicodemus who finds himself too in a time of uncertainty. He's deep in his tradition. He knows it. He's been reared in it. But somehow, something seems different. There's this man, Jesus. And he seems to be a teacher from God. Because the things that he's doing cannot be done only by human agency. So he comes questioning Jesus. Jesus tells him that if it is his desire to see the kingdom of God, he must be born from above. And the old man seems to have been even more confused because it doesn't make sense. Born. He hears the word born and he wonders about entering a second time into one's mother's womb to be born. But Jesus tells him, you can't enter the kingdom without being born of water and spirit. What is born of flesh is flesh, and what is born of spirit is spirit. He says to him, don't be astonished when I say to you, you must be born from above. The wind blows where it chooses and you hear the sound of it, but you do not know where it comes from or where it is going. So it is with everyone born of the Spirit. Nicodemus is even further lost. And Jesus says, you're a teacher of Israel and yet you don't understand. Very truly I tell you, we speak of what we know and testify to what we have seen, knowing and seeing, yet you do not receive the testimony. If I tell you of earthly things and you don't believe, how can you believe if I tell you about the higher things, the heavenly things? No one has ascended into heaven except the one who descended from heaven, the Son of Man. As Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whoever believes in him may have eternal life. So says Jesus.
No, no, he will not take you where he has not been. Where he has not been. Every long road is paved by the blood of the His precious blood. Always remember to follow Him. You're pressed on every side, every tear's been cried, trials on every hand, but try to understand. He alone will carry you when you can go no further, take you to a higher place, a higher place.
must be born from above. What is born of flesh is flesh. What is born of spirit is spirit. You can really imagine Nicodemus's confusion and his inability to really grasp. He's perplexed. He's uncertain. The mere fact that he comes to Jesus at that time and tries to have a private audience, he's trying to understand. You know, it's such a challenging time for us in this world when systems that we have believed in and taken for granted, and such systems seem to be wobbling. And we never questioned them, we never looked into them, we just accepted them. But all around us, everything seems to be moving. Nothing seems permanent anymore. And that is everything that is outside of us. That which is born of the flesh is flesh, says Jesus. That which comes out of impermanence is impermanent. But that which comes out of eternity is eternal. It's almost like an invitation to shift your focus, to shift where your reality and your sense of reality and your sense of anchorage lies. Are you anchored on sand that is shifting, that is moving, that is being washed away? Or are you anchored on rock? And it's very interesting because when you use the analogy of sand and rock and then flesh and spirit, you're more inclined to hold on to flesh because flesh is certain in its appearance. But in reality, flesh is sand. You would think that spirit would be sand, but spirit is not sand because even though spirit moves where it wills and you're not sure like when, where it's coming from or where it's going, there's a solidity about it. In that it is eternal. It's not going anywhere. It is there. You can abide in it. You can hold on to it. It will not decay. But flesh, as solid as it may appear, is decaying every moment until it comes to nothing. And so in a sense you can almost feel the confusion that's in Nicodemus as he tries to grapple with this serious shift in consciousness. A shift that you and I are being asked to embrace. The shift from the focus on the physical to the spiritual. The shift from the focus of going out to acquire and to go in and receive. Receive that which is already yours. That which is already there. Has always been there and will always be there. Nicodemus is confused. Jesus is turning his world upside down. Jesus is causing him, no doubt, sleepless nights as he tries to grapple with all of this. No doubt some of us are uncertain, some of us are anxious. We're looking around us and we are hearing news of various things occurring in our world, in our church. And we're wondering what next? What next will be dismantled? Everything that's not of spirit. Everything that has pretended over the years to be solid, to be in charge, to be in control. Everything. The only thing that is constant and will always be constant is the Spirit of God that rests in you and in me. It's our time to explore that Spirit that is within us. Our time to explore that gift that God has bestowed upon us, that God has placed within us as ours. That Spirit, yes, that is here in our midst, which has been given to us. That which is flesh, that which is born of flesh is flesh. That which is born of spirit is spirit. You must be born from above. You've had your physical birth. You must be born from above. The shift in consciousness, the shift in focus from this material existence to our spiritual engagement. Learning what that means, learning what that is, and being able to work day by day with it to bring about God's will in our lives, God's purpose, and to give us the opportunity to journey in God and with God, even as we remain in this physical existence. This is the gift. This is what it means to be born from above, to journey with God through this physical incarnation.